This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi. We are your spoiler-free place for Star Wars discussion, analysis, and rhetoric. On today's show, we have Beci Mahnken of MEI and Mouse Fan Travel giving you all the tips and tricks you want to know about going back to Walt Disney World. Now, when we recorded this, there was no news that Disneyland had opened yet, so we have the Walt Disney World information for you as far as everything we had at the time we started recording, and it's very beneficial. I know a lot of you want to get to Galaxy's Edge and experience what there is at Walt Disney World, but you're also concerned, and wisely so, about health and safety, as am I. So this is my attempt to hopefully give you some information as well as some peace of mind. Naturally, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is a sponsor of Coffee with Kenobi. That's no secret. And I work with people I trust, that I believe in, that I know have good intentions and really want to give you the best bang for your buck, as well as truly help you out. So I am thrilled and delighted to share this conversation with Beci. Let me know if you have any questions for a future show. I'll be happy to pass them along to her as well. But without further ado, here is Beci Mahnken in our discussion about what's going on at Walt Disney World and Galaxy's Edge.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first?
Joining us today for a cup of coffee is Beci Mahnken, founder and owner of MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Beci, awesome to have you back on Coffee with Kenobi.
It is so great to be back. It's been a while, but then again, if you look at the past few months, it just seems like it was yesterday, but then it seems like it was 5 years ago. So,
yeah. One really long day.
One really long day. And I do have a cup of coffee with me just specifically for this. So I'm ready to go.
Excellent. Well, I mean, this is great. It's great to have you. It's always good to chat with you regardless. But obviously the world the past few months has been in a very, very different place. And I would say that of all of the different industries, I mean, travel has been hit the hardest. It has to have been the most challenging for you. And running, of course, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, you have seen things that so many of us have only dreamed about. So kind of talk about what life has been like for you.
Oh, that is such a huge question and a Pandora's box you just opened up right there.
Yes, you're welcome.
Well, you know what? Just coming off of 2019, travel industry was having the best year it has ever had. With just as a quick aside, obviously we do Disney travel, we do Universal, we also do travel everywhere. So cruises is a big part of our world as well, which of course was one of the first pieces of the industry that was on the stage during the whole COVID-19 rollout at the beginning of the year. And this has been one of the most challenging times I have ever witnessed in this industry. And I'm going on my 21st year this year. So the only thing that I can even equate it to is like right after 9/11, when everything stopped, airlines stopped, all kinds of tourist industries stopped and the world stopped. But that was for a matter of just a few weeks. Now we're stepping into our third and almost fourth month of this unique situation, challenge. I could come up with all kinds of words besides the ones that are actually in my head that I'd actually like to say. And it really has been, it has shown, it's probably the best way to put it. It has really shown people the value of having a travel advisor. I think I said on your show at one time that in a lot of ways we're like flight attendants, because on a typical day you can kind of walk through the aisle and give the peanuts out and hand the Diet Coke out and do your thing. But we really are valued and understood in an emergency. And this is definitely one of the things that has shown that value.
Well, I mean, of course, besides just chatting as friends and just following your social media accounts and all the business stuff we do, I have seen a lot, not a lot, but what I've seen of everything you're going through and MEI is going through. I feel like it's incredibly stressful. It's stressful for me. I can't imagine what it's like for you. And I honestly want to thank you publicly as well as I have privately, the grace and the patience and the dedication that you continue to show. You always have a smile on your face. You never are negative. The sky is never falling, even though you would be certainly within your rights to say so. I appreciate so much how you and your team are handling this. It really is very comforting. And I'm going to talk about my personal experiences with it a little bit later in the show. But seriously, you have been an absolute rock, and God bless you for that.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much that means to me and to my team. I know that a lot of people don't understand really how we work. And so just as an illustration, we don't charge fees. So we're paid by the supplier when people travel. So obviously over the past 3 months, we've been doing rescheduling and cancellations and modifications and all of that. But the supplier isn't compensating us for us. So not that I want anybody to feel sorry for us. This is the job. Yeah. This is what we step up to the plate to do. And while it has been a little bit longer than any of us had anticipated or wanted it to be, it also shows our passion and dedication to the craft itself and to wanting to make sure that our clients are taken care of, because this has been a lot of mixed information. You get an announcement of some sort, and then all of a sudden it changes because obviously COVID has gone on longer than I think any of us thought it would. So we've just been here for all of the changes that have been thrown at us, and to make sure our clients make it through it.
Right. Well, for sure. And it's very helpful. I mean, the challenge with travel nowadays is, when are things open? When things are open, what has changed? I mean, we're very, it's amazing how much we take for granted. You mentioned 2019. I did a lot of travel in 2019, not as much as you, but I don't think Columbus traveled as much as you. And so now we've got these different rules and guidelines and expectations for Walt Disney World trips, for example. And I know this from personal experience, having to readjust our vacation from June to July. And we'll certainly talk about that a little bit. But what are if people say to you, hey, I want to go to Disney World, what has changed? What do I need to know before I go? And by the way, before you even answer this, I think it behooves me to say, this is why you need Beci and MEI and Mouthspan Travel, because they are going to eliminate so many headaches. And think about things before you think of Beci as Joe Montana. And you're one of the wide receivers for the 49ers, and she can anticipate things.
That's a tall bar right there.
Well, that's all right. At least I didn't say one of the Bears quarterbacks. They're terrible. So what are some of the things?
Russell Wilson, just for the fun of it.
That's a good one. That seems apropos. What are some things that people need to know as they're getting ready to consider going back to Disney World? Because July, was it July 11th that it opens?
Yeah, Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom are going to open July 11th, and then Hollywood Studios and Epcot are going to be open on the 15th.
Right. So what's different about that? Because what interesting thing, fast passes completely gone, first time in 20 years, I believe. Right. And then the dining plan is not coming back until September of 2021.
Well, I'm thinking I wouldn't say that about the dining plan just yet. Okay. You may have seen that they had removed the dining plan for packages up into that time. And I think that was because they needed to address packages that were purchased through for residents of the United Kingdom that actually expanded out into that time period. Here, it's pretty much through the end of the year. And then after December 31st, they'll figure out what they need to do at that point. So again, they're trying to cover a lot of different packages, a lot for travelers that are across the globe that are all coming to Walt Disney World. And I know that there are different parameters for each of those territories. So it's a legality, but there's a lot of changes. And the first thing I want to say is, deciding to travel during this time is a personal choice. And there are going to be a lot of things that are going to be different than you may have seen the last time that you visited Disney World. For example, like you said, the fast passes are gone for now. The dining reservations were completely cleaned off, and any experiences were completely cleared off. Character greetings are going to be not like you would have known in the past. If there's going to be anything at all. So anything that's like high touch experiences are not going to be available. The biggest ones I think that are impacting guests the most though are They won't have any fireworks or parades or shows. Anything that draws a crowd is, for the near term at least, not going to be available. So as you're thinking about returning to Walt Disney World, you need to consider, is this really the time you want to go back? If the experience that you want to have during your vacation includes, hey, I want to end the night standing in front of the castle and looking at the awesome fireworks, you probably want to put your vacation off until next year.
Right. I think, at least for our family, we've been there. We've been very blessed to have been there numerous times throughout the years. We're bringing our son back, who hasn't been for 3 years. Now, fireworks are great. Parades are great. They're staples of Walt Disney World, but there are so many things to do that are not related to that,
right,
that will help you still feel like you're a part of that experience. I mean, for me, what I love about Disney is that it appeals to the five senses. I like the smells, the taste, the texture of things, which obviously that's a little bit different now. But the visuals that Walt Disney provides, the music, just being in a different atmosphere. So many of us have been cooped up at home for a long time. And just knowing that you can get out and be at Walt Disney World is a great thing, but it is going to be different because there aren't fast passes. How do you sort of anticipate? And obviously we can't possibly know because we don't have a DeLorean or a crystal ball. What do you think? Let's say I want to go to the Magic Kingdom. Obviously there's some sort of a reservation thing in place. We don't know too much about that right now, but what do you think the odds are of a family who's been saving for years to go to Walt Disney World to be able to see the things at the parks that they won't with reduced capacity?
Yeah, and that's the question right there, because the reduced capacity, we don't know what that capacity is going to be. So there's been a lot of numbers that have been thrown around in social media, and there's nothing that is solid. But the only thing that we can really go off of is what Universal has done. And they're kind of setting between that 25 to 30% of normal capacity. So if we back up for a second, and if we talk about where we are right now. So like I said, Disney had to clean the slate. They stopped making reservations. They brought down their entire reservation system, which included resort reservations, dining reservations, and experiences, so that they can put in this new system, which is going to be a park reservation system. So once this park reservation system is ready, then they'll open up dining and experiences and so forth. Now, we don't know if other pieces are going to return. We don't know what that's going to look like because they have not given anybody any information about it at all, for the exception of it's coming back. And once it does, then they'll open up these other options for you. And it can be kind of confusing right now because people are like, whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean they're not taking reservations? What's going on right now? A lot of it, I have this feeling that it's due to wanting to control that capacity that we were just referencing. They couldn't let people keep a dining reservation if they didn't know for sure if they were going to have a park reservation to get in. And since those restaurants and the park are going to have this very, very limited capacity, this was the only way they could have gone about it to make it an even playing field and to start from scratch. Right. So your point is the exact point I was making before. This may not be the time for a family to go if you're looking for those experiences. However, with that limited capacity, one of the reasons they brought down FastPass is because they want to utilize those queues for what's going to be that 6-foot social distancing. So they need all of that space that they can possibly get. So if you're looking at this experience with only, again, this is not official information, it's just what's out there, 30% of normal park capacity, would you really need a fast pass? That's right. A really good question. So we could sit here and guess all day at what is possible without knowing what that capacity is and without knowing how they're going to deal with this park reservation system. It's really hard to guess.
Absolutely. And for my money, and my wife might think I'm a little bit crazy for this, but I kind of like this. I think it's adventurous. I think it's interesting because this is like how the parks used to be before Fast Passes. Kids back in our day when we watched Disney movies on VCRs. And so this is kind of cool because now you can go with a game plan And, with fast passes, you were guaranteed certain attractions, and you hit the other ones as you could, or as you were passionate about waiting on and seeing what the lines were like on the boards or on your apps and things like that. So now if for argument's sake, capacity is greatly reduced, as it seems logical to presume, then if you use your time wisely, if there are less people there, you should be able to have a really enjoyable experience and be able to be safe at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that you kind of took that take on it kind of being adventurous, because for anybody who goes to Disney World often, like you and I normally do, yeah, it's different. It's going to be a whole different take on it. It's going to be something that we'll hopefully never have to experience again, and somehow we'll get back to what a normal experience was. But again, for those families who maybe only go once every 3 years or even less, this would be kind of daunting to kind of maneuver all of the changes. I know that we're going to have to wear face coverings for anybody who's 2 years old and up. So as you have been a dad of a small 2-year-old child, can you imagine trying to keep a mask on their face?
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that could be one of the challenges that's going to come along. They're also going to do temperature checks at the gate when you first walk in.
Which could be a line in and of itself.
Yeah.
Really. Unless it's a thermal scan. It
certainly can. And I'm not sure if they're going to do, one person when they scan your ticket now, because I mean, think about it. They got to take the biometrics are going to have to go away too. No one's really addressed that directly from Disney.
True. With your finger on the,
yeah. So one of the other parks had a thing where they were looking at your photo ID and your park ticket to take away the biometrics, which of course is going to slow that down still. So sure. I think no matter who you are, if you're going to any of the theme parks, you're going to have to pack a lot of patience between the time that you arrive and when you get to the park and try to get in, because I think that's going to be a little bit of a backup as they figure all this out.
Right. So you mentioned a couple of key things. For one, what we talked about earlier, there are no fast passes, so you have to kind of navigate and use your planning tips out there. And the dining plan is gone, but it seems like, they've been slowly announcing this. Some of the resorts, not all the resorts have announced that they've been open yet. Is that right?
Yeah. At this point, from now, well, actually, back that up again. On June 22nd, the villa resorts, so some people know it as DVC resorts, but they're actually deluxe villa resorts, and the Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground are the only resorts that are going to be open right now on property. There has been no word whatsoever on any of the other resorts yet, so there's no anticipated opening time. So the big news over the weekend was that those who were checking in between that June 22nd time period and July 4th would need to do one of three things. They either had to confirm their reservation, and if they did confirm that they're actually still going, they would be moved into one of those open resorts at no additional cost. Or they modify it to a different date in 2020, or they just cancel it outright. Now, that's been a lot of confusion bubbling up out there because a lot of people were under the impression that, well, if I move to the beach club villas, then why can't I just stay at the beach club? But it's the villa portion only of the resorts that are going to be open at this time. Right. Now, we don't know how long it's going to be before you can stay at Art of Animation or at Port Orleans Riverside. We have no idea when those are going to open either. So it's a little difficult to navigate that path.
I can't even imagine the hamster wheel going on in your brain right now.
Oh my gosh, because if you think about it, that date that I just told you up to July 4th, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't even include the parks being open yet, because they don't open until July 11th. So we don't know what's happening between the 5th and the 11th at this point. And then we have no idea what's going to happen after the 11th. So we just take them 1 week at a time as they're sliced and diced to us from Disney.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, there's a lot you have to be informed, which is why you need to use MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, a travel partner that I trust, that I've used professionally and personally as well. And so as everyone is listening, Becky and her team have been navigating and trying to figure out juggling all of this stuff that's going on. You've got face mask coverings for kids 2 and up. The fast pass change is not being there. There's no dining plan, but there will be food in the parks. Obviously, there are going to be dining experiences, and it'll be much different. So, using a travel agent to figure that out is a good way to go. But I want to ask you about face mask coverings. There are a lot of good articles out there, but do you have any sort of opinion on the best kind of face masks for kids and adults to maybe look at, different coverings for the parks?
That's a really good question as well. And I am hoping that Disney's thinking about this and looking at it as a merchandising possibility, because Universal sure did. And from what I understand, the ones that Universal had put on sale were pretty lightweight, but yet had enough layers to do some good, because clearly if you just have one piece of material between your mouth and everybody else, it may not do as good of a job so if you're wearing it, you might as well wear something that has at least 3 layers into it, so that it can give you the best protection. Actually, as you know, masks aren't for your protection. They're for others, or protecting others from you. So those 3 layers are probably the best bet, but you want to look for something that's got that lightweight. Ear loops are a lot better than tied on, clearly, because it's going to be more comfortable for most people anyway if you get something with a soft ear loop. But you just have to make sure that you're fully covering your nose and mouth, that allows you to do things hands-free, clearly, because believe it or not, some people are saying, well, can't I just hold something up to my mouth? It's like, no.
Oh boy.
there's a lot of considerations and questions when it comes to this type of thing. But that breathable material, either disposable or reusable, but if you take your reusable, make sure that you wash them out every day to, again, keep yourself as safe as possible.
Because honestly, what's that?
Sorry, I just got to throw in, they actually anticipated the question and had to state in their official policy that, no, I'm sorry, costume masks are not considered appropriate and are prohibited from being worn. So I'm sorry, your stormtrooper is not going to do it.
Right. So Lou Mangello's Ewok costume is not going to
No.
Unfortunate. Well, even here locally, when I go to Walmart or do any grocery shopping, if it's a hot day outside and I'm wearing the mask, even when I'm indoors, it is uncomfortable. You do notice it, and I'm not a claustrophobic person by any stretch of the imagination, but I can see how that would be a challenge for people,
especially in the heat.
Yes, and July in Florida is no joke.
Yeah, I'm. That's why I'm kind of thinking that maybe they're trying to target just those Florida residents who get cold when it's 74 degrees anyway. I think that they're going to be in really good position for this. But you have to keep that as a consideration, because that's going to heat you up. And if you're not ready for that type of temperature increase, that could be an issue for you as well.
Right. So we certainly spent a lot of time talking about some of the challenges that will come with a Walt Disney World vacation in July. But what are some of the things that we can say, you know what, if you understand these certain challenges that will be there, here's some things that could make this a really wonderful vacation for you. What would you say to someone who asked that question?
I think it's it depends on when you're talking about going. Mm-hmm. If you're thinking about doing that July, August time period, and again, we're not sure how long it's going to take them to ramp up into higher capacities. But if you're looking at that July, August, and maybe even September time period, you might have a really good experience if you don't mind not having the parades and fireworks. Riding rides, you might be able to have that walk-on experience that many of us have coveted over the years before it really took off, and in having that Wednesday or Tuesday day where it's so low that you have a 5-minute wait on pretty much anything that you want to get on. That's a possibility. I'm not saying that it's going to be a definite for you, but it's something that you might be able to enjoy during this time. If you've wanted to experience the resorts a little bit differently, I'm sure the capacity on the resorts is going to be a little lower too. We're not exactly sure how much, but for anyone who doesn't like crowds in general, it might be a good time to check out Disney World.
Well, and you mentioned the resorts. Talk to me about what are the guidelines now for visiting resorts, because I think they've certainly changed as well. You can't really resort hop anymore.
Yeah, no, they're not going to allow you to resort hop unless you have once the reservation systems come back up, and if you have a dining reservation at one of the resorts, then they will allow you into the resort. But there's no visiting just to see what the lobby looks like we used to be able to do. You can't just hop on and off the monorail to just go visit a resort for the heck of it. You have to have a reservation to be able to get in at this point. And of course, that's the plan at this point. It could change at any time. A lot of different things are going to fall into place, like bell services. They can deliver luggage to your rooms, but they can't actually escort you up the elevator to your room. Little subtle changes like that is going to be a little strange for those of us who are really used to that higher level of Disney service, because those have been backed off. I know that valet parking is only going to be available for guests with disabilities. So you're going to be prepared to self-park. Obviously, for the villa resorts, they don't have club level services anyway, but right now they're thinking about club level services that they're not going to be available right off, because most of the time you're dealing directly with people sitting close together and have that buffet type of meal, which is another thing. We're not going to see buffets probably for a very long time until they figure all this out. There's self-service laundry will be available at the resorts, but dry cleaning and valet laundry will be unavailable. The resort airline check-in, which I adore, because you can check all your bags on your checkout day and then go to the parks and not have to worry about it. That service is going to be unavailable for a while. There are going to be some scenarios at the pools where the pools are going to be open, but they're also going to have social distancing when you're on the deck of the pool. So there's going to be some limited capacity for that scenario as well. The fitness centers will have reduced hours and very reduced capacity. So as you can tell, all in all, it will be a much different experience at the resorts as well. Minivan service is also going to be temporarily not available. So hopefully they'll bring that back along the lines. But when you start looking at transportation too, which is a whole nother subject, Magical Express is still happening. So you can get from the airport to the resort without an issue. I'm sure that that's going to be limited to how many people can be on the bus at any time. But they do also have an added bonus that I think this is something that they put in place that I think will be really popular and will stay around long after this is gone, is a new feature in My Disney Experience app that allows you to chat directly with people on property. So that, so you don't have to go up to the concierge, to ask questions. You'll be able to chat with somebody through the app, which I think that's a huge benefit. And I think the other thing that they're trying to do is encourage people to do the online check-in, so you don't have to go to the registration desk when you arrive. So there's, as you can tell, a lot of different things that they're thinking through when it comes to the resort experience itself.
Right, which is good. I mean, one of the things we like to do is we always like to go to the Polynesian. Of course, we love to eat at Ohana, but at the time of this recording, which is Monday, June 8th, that's not open. Because one of the things we like about the Polynesian, besides the fact that it's a beautiful lobby, is that's where I proposed to Deanna. So we always like to go to visit Sunset Point. So if basically what I'm saying is, if you have a resort that you want to go to, or a gift shop that you really like, or a place that has great coffee or a great breakfast, then you need to make sure you have some sort of dining reservation in place, because otherwise it's not going to happen for you.
Exactly. And like you're talking about the Polynesian, the Kona Cafe, Captain Cook's, the Pineapple Lanai, which is one of my favorites, and the Barefoot Pool Bar are all going to be the only things that will be open at this point.
No Trader Sam's.
Yeah, no Trader Sam's, and no Ohana, because that's obviously, it's not the Polynesian itself that'll be open, but it'll be the Polynesian villas and bungalows that will.
So speaking of the Polynesian and good food, Tonga toast. I can still get Tonga toast.
Because at least Kona Cafe is there, so yes, you can get your Tonga toast. So again, there are some positives to this unique experience that we're all going through right now.
Right. So where do you recommend? What are some places? I mean, obviously, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is going to be the place that I'm going to go to. You can obviously trust WDW Radio with Lou Mangello. But how do you encourage people to find out the information? Because I know what I would tell them, to contact MEI and Mouse Fan Travel.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And we are really trying to do our best to get out the information as quickly as we can after we have confirmed it. So I'm never going to post anything on my site, which actually you can link to my social media accounts because I always post anything that I know. But we don't do it until after we have confirmed that it's correct, because as you know, the internet, sometimes they will get a little whisper of something and then the internet lights itself on fire just to find out that it was a rumor. So it's kind of important to stick with that. So Disney does have a know before you go area on their website too, that has been updated on a pretty consistent basis. However, they don't push out information that is new. So following me, obviously the WDW radio community, I post out there as soon as I know anything. And clearly if there's anything that impacts things for you, I'll send it to you as well, so you can share it with your listeners. There's a couple of other great sites that are out there that do a really fantastic job, if you don't mind me saying who they are,
please,
of keeping people updated. And laughingplace.com has been one of the places that's been really, really good about getting the information, confirming it, and then pushing it out as quickly as they can. So that's been my other go-to is working with them. And they're also a great partner.
Yes. And I noticed on your social media feeds that you've been linking to a lot of stuff that they've been doing. That's how I found out about the changes to the resorts as far as what's open to this point so far.
Yeah, and they've also pushed out something that I didn't catch right away with some of the things that were happening with housekeeping, and another piece that was talking about merchandising and what they're doing with some of the sales of merchandise on property, which I had no idea about. So it was little pieces that I kept bumping into thanks to them. For example, the new product launches that normally happens in park, they're not going to be doing those. It's going to be available only on Shop Disney for now. Pin trading will be available inside the gift shops. However, cast members will no longer be wearing the lanyards that they used to, which I am really sad about, because I actually really adore being able to, walk up and talk to cast members and learn about them when you're doing that pin trading. The package delivery service is going to be suspended as well. So if you buy something in the shop, you're going to have to carry it back with you. They're going to close the dressing room, so you're not going to be able to try things on beforehand. You can buy something and then return it. So
I didn't know that Disney had dressing rooms, honestly.
How many? Yeah, because you probably walk up and see the T-shirt and go, "Yep, I'm a medium," and then just walk out.
That's got Star Wars. There
you're such a guy.
Well, so package delivery, does that mean package delivery as far as when they send? One of the nice things about Disney is you can buy something like a lightsaber or whatever, and then you can send it to your resorts. You don't have to carry it with you the rest of the day.
Right.
But that's suspended. What about shipping to your home? Is that still?
They will still, they'll still ship to your house. So they will ship directly from the store to your house. So that's probably going to be your saving grace in that respect.
Right. Okay, that's good to know. I was going to ask you about the shopping, because I know they're recommending sort of touchless purchases anyway. I mean, some they won't accept cash. Everybody accepts cash, but it's just safer and a little bit easier to do so. You mentioned Shop Disney. Shop Disney a few weeks ago started selling Star Wars and Marvel and Mickey Mouse face masks.
Oh my gosh! Yes, I remember seeing that now, and I have.
Did you get them?
No, I haven't.
This is how bad. Well, good luck, because I think they sold out pretty quickly. But this is how bad it is at our house. I wasn't sure what size would fit, so I bought a small, a medium, and a large of all the different kinds. So maybe you'll see them on eBay pretty soon.
I was going to say, well, you got a collection now, because I mean, we're going to look back at this in 20 years and go, wow. Do you remember when we used to have face masks with the characters on them? Personally, I'm waiting for Baby Yoda on mine.
He's on there. Or she. They haven't said the gender. Yeah, I'll show you.
That is the one that I want. If I'm going to wear a character on my mask, it's going to be Baby Yoda.
It's a wise decision. It's a wise decision. I'm trying to think if there's any other things that we need to cover that we talked about the face masks. Oh, I know what I was going to say. From what I've read, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, the only time there are a couple of places that are going to be designated in the parks where you don't have to wear them, almost like smoking areas, for the lack of a better comparison.
That's a great question. I actually haven't seen it officially addressed.
Okay.
It doesn't mean it hasn't been, but I just haven't seen it yet. Sure. I do know Universal has done that. They have implemented these specific areas where you can take off your mask. And I had heard that was going to be the case, but again, I just haven't seen it officially.
Right. But officially, they have said when you're eating,
yes,
it's okay to take your mask, because that's going to be pretty hard to do.
You can take off your mask when you're eating or swimming.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm really glad I don't have to swim with a face mask, because
pretend like you're Spider-Man.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is your one-stop shop for your vacation needs and your plans to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or the cruise lines. Travel looks much different now than it did a couple of months ago, and with the opening of Walt Disney World and soon, hopefully, the opening of Disneyland, you need a place to go where you can trust, and they will help you figure out and navigate all the different circumstances and guidelines that Disney has put out for you. And I can say that we had our vacation modified, and as soon as dates were announced, MEI contacted me directly to help me reschedule, which is exactly what I was hoping to do. So if you are interested in rescheduling your vacation or want to try to plan a Walt Disney World, Disneyland vacation, or anywhere else you want to go on the planet, be sure to contact MEI and Mouse Fan Travel at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel. Their signature service and expert advice will help you maximize your vacation time and dollar, and they will help you figure out all the different changes and modifications going on at the Disney theme parks. They are amazing, and I can tell you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, the peace of mind that Becky Mahnken and the crew at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel have given me is invaluable. If you're interested at all, again, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel. So the swimming thing, have they addressed the water parks? I can imagine water parks will be open, but if swimming pools at the resorts are open, then maybe they will. I don't know.
See, that's an interesting thing that I caught in all of this as well. It could be for all kinds of reasons why they've decided not to do that, because maybe there's food involved, maybe it's a capacity thing, maybe it's a control issue. But we do know that the pools will be open, but we have not heard anything about the water parks at this point. So they've not said yes, they've not said no. But I think the expectation for at least the near term is going to be that they're not going to be open.
And some of the resorts, you can't swim at their pool, but you can swim in another resort's pool. Is that true too?
That I haven't heard.
I thought I saw it today, and again, it could correct me if I'm wrong, but it said the Yacht and Beach Club pool won't be open, but they're allowing guests to swim at the Boardwalk Resort pool.
That may, that's a really good question. I know that Stormalong Bay, which is Yacht and Beach Club, is not going to be open, but they do have a small pool back at the Beach Club villas, which would be the only part of the resort that would be open.
Right.
So I'm not sure. Again, I have not seen that officially, so it's something I'll check into.
I like to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, you just did with that one, because I haven't seen it, and I haven't seen anybody addressed, which makes me wonder, though. My brain starts spinning, because you would have to be able to accommodate the number of people who are at the Boardwalk villas.
Right.
And if you allowed people from the Beach Club to go over, then that might be over capacity. So I'm not exactly sure how that would work.
Well, it makes you wonder if that was even suggested or thrown out there because you can walk.
Maybe.
Even though, there would still be challenges, because the Boardwalk guests are still going to want to swim at their pool, presumably.
Exactly. I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to put that officially under the rumor mill.
I like
list
it.
Until we can see if that's the case. Because like I said, they're not allowing you to resort hop. So in general, without a dining reservation. So even though that is within walking distance, it doesn't seem like it would be right. But then again, these are very interesting times, and anything could be possible, as we've completely found out at this point.
See, and this is a great reason why you need to use MEI and Miles Fan Travel, because you're going to hear and see a lot of things. So you may as well go to someone who's only going to confirm it if they know that it's actually been confirmed. One thing we can kind of base our trust on with a little bit more certainty is Disney Springs, because that has been open. What are you hearing and seeing about Disney Springs and how things are going on there?
You know, what's funny is that when Disney Springs first opened and I was watching the WDW radio live stream, I didn't realize how emotional I was going to get over a restaurant being open.
I know.
I didn't anticipate that at all. I thought I would watch and see how people are reacting and how things are happening. But I found myself really getting drawn into missing what I had taken for granted for so long, that you could just walk into Disney Springs and walk through the pathways and watch the people and stop in and have a beverage if you wanted to and have a meal. And not being able to do that has definitely pulled on some strings in me. So when I was watching that and seeing people enjoying it again and seeing the cast members that had returned and seeing everybody waving hello to everybody, even though you can't see their face, you know they're smiling. Mm-hmm. That really had an impact on me. And for at least what I've seen so far, people seem to be respecting the distancing requirements and allowing people to stay away from each other in the queues and in the lines. I've been very excited to see that rollout and that relaunch has happened so smoothly, and it seems to be going really well. One of the tips that I would encourage people to do at this time, they will allow you to make some reservations at the Disney Springs restaurants. However, I'm telling my clients to use Open Table instead of trying to use the Disney system, only because with Open Table, you have full control over your reservation. And with a new system that's rolling out that we don't know if there's going to be glitches or issues, if you really, really, really have to be Lou Angelo in the boathouse at 4:00 on Saturday, I would highly anticipate or highly recommend, that you go to Open Table and make your reservation there. Don't think that you're going to be able to walk up to any of these places because of the capacity issue. So if you do want to go, make sure you make those reservations.
You know, that's a really good tip. I had never used Open Table before. And they're good. I mean, they're all over the place. Yeah.
And I love using that app because it's so much easier. Right. And you can actually find availability on Open Table that you can't see through the Disney reservation system sometimes. So that's usually my go-to for anything that's not a Disney-owned location.
Good to know. And do you know that I've never been to the boathouse before? Never. I know.
You know you're going to lose your WDW radio card if you say that too loudly.
Oh, he knows. Well, I mean, what are some good restaurants to eat at there? I mean, the boathouse. Why is the boathouse good? What is it? The food? Is it the atmosphere? And you can't always ride in those boats, right? How does that work?
Well, the boats themselves, the little aqueduct type cars, that's an attraction or experience to the side of it. So you can rent that and go out and do the aqua cars. I have no idea what they call them officially, right?
It works.
Yes, but it's really fun. You take a quick spin around the lake there, and it is kind of unique and fun. But the boathouse itself, it has a great lounge area, and it's got a whole bunch of old vintage boats that you can view when you're sitting or having your cocktail. And the food is fantastic. The views are beautiful. It's a nice, relaxing place, and the food, it really is one of the best places to go for food quality.
Family friendly too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the staff is fantastic. A couple of my other favorites that I like, I'm a Morimoto Asia person. I love that location, but one of my personal favorites is Homecoming, because I need that comfort food. I need my chicken and mashed potatoes, and it's got some of the best mimosas on property for their brunch. So that's one of my favorite places to go to.
That's cool. And if you want it somewhere nice, quiet, relaxing, don't even say the word dinosaur, because that's not.
No, and dinosaurs eat your head, by the way. So that's
there's
something. I am not a fan of dinosaurs. So to try to sit there and have a a relaxing meal is wrong.
It's true. It's true.
So many levels.
Well, I love it. So I can honestly say, I teased at the beginning of the show, but we had our vacation planned for June, and obviously then COVID happened, and we had to rearrange things. And as soon as they announced it, like I was one of the 6,000 people watching the Orange County live broadcast when they were announcing Disney. So I was actually one of the people following along with that. And within minutes after that happened, an MEI representative contacted me instantly, helped me navigate. Do you want to cancel? Do you want to reschedule? And honestly, Becky, I can't even tell you the peace of mind that gave me and my wife. How because we know these are crazy circumstances. It's hard enough to keep track of what's going on in our home, let alone what's going on, across the country. And the fact that your team did that and took care of us, and not because of Coffee with Kenobi, because we were someone that was working with you to book a vacation. And that means the world to me. And that is one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on, so that people can see, look, the times are scary, they're confusing. But if you need a break, if you need to go to Walt Disney World or Disneyland or anywhere you want to go on vacation, Becky and the team at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel will absolutely take care of you. I am living proof of that. And everybody knows I'm an honest, direct guy. It's just the truth.
And I appreciate that so much. And again, it was taking care of you, because we want to make sure that we are making those changes as quickly as we can, because everybody else is changing too. So when they cancel a whole bunch of dates, we know a whole bunch of those people are going to reschedule or rebook. And we want to make sure that our clients get access to that availability, because there's not going to be a lot. There's going to be pretty limited capacity, probably, for the next foreseeable months in front of us at some level. So that means it's not going to be as easy to get a reservation. So one of my biggest things is telling people, the moment you know that you want to go, let's make a reservation. As soon as reservations open back up again, clearly. We also have the ability to book into 2021 right now, even though the packages aren't publicly available. Some agencies have been able to do basic packages so that you can grab your space and have it. So as soon as they open back up for that again, we're already booking into 2021. And if you're one of the unlucky families who had their spring break or their celebration or their summer vacation impacted by this, let's look at next year, and hopefully we'll be through this. Things will be back closer to normal, and families can go back and have that magical vacation that they are so deserving after going through all of this. And I also want to mention too that Disney Cruise Line is also a huge part of this. And for a lot of your listeners, obviously the Star Wars Day at Sea is kind of a big deal too.
Yeah.
And right now they're not sailing until at least August. We're kind of waiting for more information on how they're going to proceed with their plans, because again, that's a whole nother set of issues. And while you might think, oh my God, I'm not going to cruise ever again, the funny part is I want to throw out there this thought that we actually believe that cruising might end up actually being one of the safest ways to vacation after this kind of the dust settles, because you have controlled points of entry and exit, and they are going to be cleaning that thing up one side and down another. It's going to be one of the more controlled environments that you can be in for a vacation. So we have a feeling as we wait for all of these new regulations and policies to come forward, and the CDC has to sign off on it before anybody can sail again. But we really do believe that this might be one of the best choices in terms of a vacation until we all have a vaccine.
No, it makes sense. And I mean, cruises, by and large, I went on one, and it was for our honeymoon, and we actually used MEI and Mouse Fan Travel to book that. And that was before we even had the show. And I remember going on the cruise, and everywhere we went, Deanna and I kept saying, my gosh, it's clean. Literally, you'd take 2 steps and they'd give you a hand sanitizer. And this was way, way before COVID. They definitely knew how to keep that place spit spot.
Yeah. And for a while there were some cruise lines that were better at cleaning than others. I think right now they're all working together, because they know if they drop the ball on this, then it's going to be a difficult recovery. But if they can prove to everybody that they can safely deliver this wonderful vacation experience, then it's going to be a boon to every single cruise line. So Disney in particular, there have been times that I've walked up the staircase to go deliver something to a stateroom, and there was someone that was right behind me cleaning the handrail. And I walked back down from it, and that same person would clean it right behind me. I have a feeling that that's kind of what we're going to be in for across the cruise industry.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is...
As we begin to wrap up the show, I want to thank each of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to have a cup of coffee with me and for helping to spread the word about our Star Wars family we've got here at Coffee with Kenobi. Be sure to tune in Monday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/live or www.facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi and have a cup of coffee, tea, or any beverage of your choosing with me as we continue the conversation. To join us in the CWK Cafe, which is our Facebook group, and share your Star Wars thoughts, comments, reviews, and opinions in a family-free, spoiler-free place that is also drama-free, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/community and be a part of the conversation, talk about this week's show, or just talk some Star Wars. It is a lot of fun, and you'll make some new friends as well as catch up with longtime friends as well. I also want to thank all of my new and longtime friends who joined me in the CWK Cantina and let you know how much I appreciate your help and encouragement and love being able to give back to you with CWK Pour-Over, the exclusive weekly podcast not heard anywhere else. I want to thank Dennis Keithley, Jason Hall, Angela Sauce, Chris Kavarka, Aaron Harris, Alexander Moylan, Ross Halliban, Jeff Ellis, David Nicely, Jessica Berry, Colby Mead, Frank Mulder, LJ Souter, Dustin Mills, Robert Avila, Mark Suter, Nick Deco, Eric Struthers, Jared Cantor, Brian McKinney, Daz Davies, Thea Selby, Chris Metz, Caroline Maselli, Jim Capron, Blake Weaver, Dan Ream, Kurt McKellen, Christine, Simbad Teftradarian, Ian Thompson, Alex Procasio, Hannah, Tyler Pompa, Connie Shee, Susan Gray, Chelsea Sansbury, Josh Boylan, Yancey Evans, Sagacious Crumb, and Greg McLaughlin. If you want an additional way to help out the show, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/support and join us in the Coffee with Kenobi Cantina. It's a great way to support and help out the show, and 10% of your monthly contributions go directly to the St. Jude Children's Hospital to support the incredibly important work they are doing to help these brave children and their families. Plus, contributors at the CWK All-Star level can watch a video podcast of CWK Pour-Over hosted by me, Tom Gross, and Corey Clubb. In addition to being part of the community on Facebook, please don't forget to visit our website at www.coffeewithkenobi.com for Star Wars news, announcements, reviews, live video, and so much more. If you have a question for me or just want to share your thoughts on the air, feel free to email me at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com and I'll share them on the show. You can also connect with me on Twitter at Mr. Zehr, MRZEHR. There are also a lot of ways to connect with me and Coffee with Kenobi on social media. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi and check us out on Pinterest. You can find me twice a month on the podcast Looking at Lucasfilm, part of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, and you can find my writing on CWK's website, as well as StarWars.com, where I'm an official blogger there, as well as on IGN, where I contribute articles on Star Wars, as well as other pop culture topics. And if you're considering starting a podcast or a blog, let me know how I can help you get started and help you make your creative vision a reality. Be sure to check out danzmedia.com and we can get the process started. I am also available to come to your school, conference, business, or organization to talk about how to tap into your strengths and help you bring out your very best. I want to inspire you to be inspired. Don't be afraid to take that first step into a larger world. Thanks as always to our CWK sponsors, especially MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, our travel partner and your one-stop shop for all things Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Lines, or anywhere you want to go on the planet. Please go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel to book your magical vacation and help support Coffee with Kenobi in the process. If you like this show, please tweet out that you're listening, share it on Facebook, or invite your friends and family to tune in and share a cup of coffee with us. And if the force is especially with you, please take a couple of minutes to rate and review the show on iTunes or Google Podcasts. Every review makes a huge difference and helps to spread the word. Go to iTunes and search Coffee with Kenobi and you'll see the show there. My circle of friends has grown so much because of each and every one of you, and it means so much to me that we have such a wonderful Star Wars community. Once the park opens, it'll be great to have you back on to kind of see, what's been happening, what did we think was going to happen, and how are things going, and what are guests saying about the first couple weeks. I mean, as it stands now, we're certainly going to be there the first week it opens, and I will be very eager to share different experiences that I have with everyone listening. Of course, if people want to book a vacation with MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, they can go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel. But Becky, how else can they get a hold of you and the team to alleviate their fears and help kind of guide them in the right direction, both literally and figuratively, for their vacations?
Certainly, there's a ton of ways to reach us right now. We are on all the socials for the company itself. If you're a Twitter follower, it's at MouseFan Travel. If you're looking at Disney, or at MEI Travel. If you're looking for everything else, kind of a mixture on Facebook. It's MEI MouseFan Travel on Facebook, and the same on Instagram. For me personally, and I always encourage people, if you're on Facebook, follow me. And if you have questions, whether you booked with us or not, feel free to private message me at any time. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have to help guide you through this, because we know a lot of people book direct and are now kind of going, what do I do? I'm not sure how to handle this at this point. So we're happy to help you in that regard. And I am Beci, spelled BECIMAHNKEN, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Well, Becky, thank you so much, as always, for being with us on Coffee with Kenobi, for alleviating my fears with my family as far as our vacation, and just being a guiding light through all this. I hope you're able to get some rest, and hopefully you can get down and enjoy some time with the mouse for fun as well.
I am so looking forward to walking into the gates of Disney, no matter if it's Land or World. And by the way, I guess I should point out that we've been talking primarily about Disney World. Disneyland has not announced any opening information or any policies or procedures yet. So when we know that, I'll definitely share that with you. And I'm looking forward to when you go, because like you just said, I'm happy to come back on. We can talk about your experience and then other things that we've run into along the way as everything opens. So thank you for having me.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.